Hey everybody, this is your main man, Brother Saeed, owner of the magazine www.gettheblackmindright, Pitchline Entertainment, and partner with my business partner Tiffany McKeever, Paper to Film, and Air Red Revolution. The revolution continues, and I'm speaking with Edward Booker, and we're going to get into a little bit about the drill. I'm going to call it the hip hop culture, which I still call it rap. So we're going to be educated today. And so just tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the questions.
Well, Saeed, like you said, my name is Michael Booker, and I'm 45 years old, and I was around when hip hop first started. So let's take it from the beginning. First, let me say this: I am not against rap music. I need to say that first. That's my disclaimer, because sometimes people feel like I'm against rap music. I am not against rap music, but I do have a problem with hip hop, and we'll get into the reasons why.
Okay, so with that being, where, when, and who started hip hop?
Where, when, and who started hip hop? Hip hop was started in the Bronx River back in the late 1970s. Somewhere around 79, between 79 and 80, by a couple of gentlemen actually, but the lead guy was a gentleman by the name of, he called himself Afrika Bambaataa. And Afrika Bambaataa was part of one of the biggest gangs in Bronx River at that time. And what Afrika Bambaataa noticed was, along with himself, everybody's father was absent. Whether they were literally absent from the home or at home and not paying them any attention, or they were out in the street. But there was an epidemic even then of fatherlessness in the country, especially amongst African American homes. And so Bambaataa got with some of his friends, a gentleman by the name of Kenny Parker, we call him KRS-One, a guy named DJ Kool Herc, and of course, from the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, Grandmaster Flash. And what happened was Bambaataa won a contest off the radio, and the contest was a trip to Africa. He went over to Africa. He had some spiritual experiences while he was over there. Came back to the Bronx, and when he came back, he had this new perspective on life.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you this question, and I'm gonna stop you there. Okay. When was your actual first encounter with hip hop?
My first encounter with hip hop was in 1980-81. And I had never heard any, of course we heard James Brown, and we've heard others that basically where they got their music from. They took samples and stuff from James Brown and other groups like that. So, but of course my first encounter with hip hop was with guys like the Sugar Hill Gang. Of course, guys like DJ Kool Herc, listening to break beats and stuff like that. Back then they were called break beats or b-boy beats. And when the beat hit me, I just became mesmerized. It was the rhythm, it was the words, it was how they all flowed together. And for a young man who had no father, my father passed away when I was 7 years old. So there we go, that fatherlessness thing. It really appealed to me, and I embraced it.
Okay, now, I'm going to ask you this question because I call myself a rap head, and I still don't understand the difference between rap and hip-hop.
Here's the difference between rap and hip-hop. Rap is just someone speaking lyrics over a beat. Hip-hop is a spiritual religion. There's a subculture or a spiritual connotation to what is being activated in hip hop. That's the difference.
Okay, so now we're going to get back to what caused you to embrace hip hop so immensely?
What caused me to embrace hip hop was the fact that, again, you got to remember, hip hop was designed specifically for young men who had no fathers. So hip hop, which a lot of people don't understand, but if you really think about it, hip-hop became my stepfather. Because hip-hop taught me everything that my father, had he been there, he would have taught me. Hip hop taught me how to dress. Hip hop taught me how to talk. Hip hop taught me how to treat women. Hip hop taught me how to conduct my relationships. Hip hop taught me everything that my father should have taught me. So it's almost like I was being discipled.
Would you call it a second nature of like a rebirth or a second nature of, growing up?
Well, I wouldn't call it a rebirth or a second nature. Actually, I was coming up. That was my first nature, coming up into hip hop. I was that first generation that was coming into hip hop. So, like again, I embraced it wholeheartedly because I could relate to it. See, I could relate. At that time, it was the sound in the street, so I could relate to that because we were kind of street guys, So it was 6 of us, So I had 4 brothers, and including myself and my sister. So it was 6 of us. So 4 older brothers, you want to do what they do, and that's what they were.
So they embraced the hip hop culture as well.
Well, they didn't, but they embraced the foundation that the hip hop culture was based on, which was R&B and soul music. That's where it came from. That's why it's not a culture, it's a subculture because it was built on top of something else.
Right.
In order to be a culture, you have to be the originator.
Originator.
So it's not a culture. They call it a culture, but it's literally a subculture. It was built off of something else.
Well, I'm gonna ask you this question, then I'm gonna come back to some other questions you have. Is hip hop at this point or at this stage in life, is it watered down to the fact that now it's pop?
Hip hop is not watered down. To the contrary, hip hop is as powerful as it's ever been, which is the design. Because when hip hop in its infancy had a great impact on the black youth, but hip hop in its maturity has impacted the whole world. See, and that was the plan all along. So much so that the founders that created it have lost control of it, and they no longer do shows in America. They've gone over to the UK because the UK is what America used to be when they first started hip hop. So they've lost control of themselves. Matter of fact, they don't like what's going on in hip hop now, so they say. But they're the originators. They created it, but they didn't know what they were creating and how powerful it was going to affect and impact our people.
And I have to agree with you on a lot of the hip hop artists or rap artists, going over Europe and because they have said the same thing. It's like whoever took the hip hop from them, from that group that created it, I think they just took it in a way that's going to benefit them financially more than spiritually. Do you agree or disagree?
I think so. Hip hop was something that the founders wanted to control. Naturally, if you originate something, you want to be able to be the one to control it. But it outgrew them. And that's what it was supposed to do. Because when you plant something in the ground, you want it to grow. But they didn't realize that, okay, listen, they don't get the respect that they should get. I at least think they should be paid some respect. This generation don't even know who they are.
Do you think that's because the white establishment got their hands onto it and pushed them out totally because they control it now? Because they got the finances to control it?
I'm glad you brought that up. Because this is what people in hip hop don't understand. This is what African Americans, this is what our black people don't understand when it comes to hip hop. These guys didn't have the ability to put together record deals. These guys didn't have the money for distribution deals. These guys didn't know how to do that stuff. There had to be, hip hop has always and forever will be ran by corporations. Because corporations seen a commodity like they're supposed to see because they're business people. Hip hop has always been ran by corporations. If there's a record label, there's a corporation behind that record label. See? There's a record label. If there's not a corporation behind that record label, as soon as that record label gets big enough, guess what they're going to do? They're going to cash out to a corporation. Because that's what I would do. Because that's where the money is. Because hip hop is a commodity. It's designed to be sold. And your biggest buyer at any day and time is corporations. So corporations have always controlled rap. They've always controlled hip hop. But we operate so much on the ground level, on the parallel level. We don't look vertical sometimes. We don't look up to see where does these stair steps lead. And it leads up to somebody's corporate office, way somewhere else. collecting that money because black folks don't have. The only one that really had the business to do stuff like that was Barry Gordy.
Right.
But he still needed white people to get it done.
Yeah.
So either way you go, you're going to need those corporations. And black folks are not in charge of those corporations.
That's what's up.
That's another story.
That's definitely another story. Okay, so what were the consequences, if any, for being part of this subculture?
The consequences for me for being part of hip hop was hip hop is something that will consume you totally because it requires you to act a certain way. It requires you to be a certain way. It requires you to talk a certain way. So with that said, music is something that's all inclusive. We embrace music wholeheartedly. Music is the only language that crosses barriers and racial lines and cultures successfully.
When you talk about that, we need to say art.
We need to say art.
Right, because music is art, and art is like, you know, it goes back to the hieroglyphics. And
Absolutely,
all that.
you're absolutely
all of
right.
that has, you know, and that's why I have my issue with music, hip hop, rap, whatever, because I think even though it's still alive, I just think that it's going in a direction that's making people don't appreciate it as much as they should.
Well, here's the thing. It's supposed to do what it's doing now. It was designed to do that. And if I get an opportunity, I'll get into the other side. There's another side.
We got part 2 coming in your next visit.
Yeah, there's another side of it, but hip hop is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And once you understand the other side of hip hop, then you'll understand why it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do.
I went to an event this weekend in Durham, and they had a cipher of all these young cats, black, white, Oriental, Spanish. It was just like 15 cats up there. And they did a cipher. And I was kind of taken by that to see how hip hop, whether I say it's good or bad, has really influenced, you know, this hip hop world. Because back then when I was coming up, you didn't see a lot of white guys that would get out there and really spit and had some rhythm behind what they're doing now. But now it's like you said, it's part of everybody's being, or part of everybody's society. And do you think that it's gonna like ever fade out, or it's gonna just build and build and build and get stronger?
I think hip hop is going to get stronger and stronger. You know, hip hop has had a great run. Back in the 80s, we never thought hip hop would reach the heights it's reached right now. You know, we couldn't foresee that, and they couldn't either. You know, the idea was, well, you know, we're going to take over the world, but truthfully, they didn't believe it because we never believed that white suburban kids would embrace it at that time, but they did. And actually, they're taking the mantle on, and they're the ones, because it's new to them. See, it's old to us because it's always been part of us, but it's new to them. And now they're taking it and they're reinventing it in as many ways as they can, and they're just keeping it alive. So hip hop is actually going through transformations, and it's going to continue to go through transformations. But the thing is the fruit. What kind of fruit is hip hop bearing?
Okay, now let me ask you this question. We're gonna come back to the fruit. Have blacks lost control of hip hop?
Blacks never had.
As far as lyrics. And
As far as lyrics goes, when I was coming up in the game, lyrics meant everything. How intelligent you were meant everything. See, how well you can put your words together. Internal rhyme schemes, external rhyme schemes. You know, all that meant everything. How clever you were. See, how creative you were with your words, connecting them to other words and other thoughts and other concepts. See, that all mattered then. See, content mattered. You know, having somewhat of a plot mattered. You had to be on your game. But today, that's just not so. What matters now is, how nasty can I say something? I'm talking about my money, I'm talking about my guns, I'm talking about my girls, I'm talking about how I can do this. It's all about what you can do from a negative standpoint. It's nothing positive. See, again, I'm not against rap, but I'm not for hip hop. Because The game has totally changed, but it's what it's supposed to be. So what we see now, as far as lyrics and language, it's what it was because it's mature now. It's no longer a baby. See, a baby don't say the words that a mature person says.
Right.
See, so when hip hop in its infancy, didn't do all that. But now that it's grown, now it's good and grown. Now it's doing and saying everything it wants to say and do.
Well, that was definitely a learning experience for me because, like I said, I didn't follow the African Bambaataa and I followed KRS-One. I mean, because all of them came up, when, you know, in my era, but I didn't really know how hip hop started and why it started. And I'm glad you came on board today and, you know, educated me and educated those who didn't really just listen to the music because they like the lyrics. And now they're being educated. And I wish that this type of music would go back to the roots and educate young brothers on how to do all the things you said in the beginning, how to talk, how to dress, how to act, and all that. And that's thing, but it's beyond that.
It's beyond that, and there is no going back. What was. See, there is no going back. No more than a child, no more than an adult can go back to being a child. There is no going back. So again, hip hop is what it's supposed to be. The time, we were positive back then. We were telling a story about how our life was. See, and maybe some of the things that we wanted to have, but we wasn't degrading women. We wasn't tearing our sisters down. We wasn't tearing our mothers down. We wasn't tearing our aunts down. We wasn't tearing women down. You know, we weren't talking about shooting and killing each other. You know, we were trying to come together because at first this thing was supposed to be about coming together. Unity. But as you can see, in its maturity, it never was about unity. It never was about unity. Because even the ones that started it ain't unified no more because, and I'm gonna say this right here, and again, this right here has to come out on part 2. Africa Bambaataa, the supreme Amun-Ra, the supreme god of hip hop, by his own people, have been accused of child molestation. Part two.
And we will close with that. And you are?
Michael Booker.
And you are a hip hop connoisseur?
I'm a hip hop connoisseur. I am a hip hop educator. And I love talking about it. I love educating people about it. And hopefully, you know, somebody will listen.
And well, hopefully we have you back for part 2. And thank you for coming out. And once again, this is Brother Saeed, the owner of www.gettheblackmindright, the online magazine. And these are the type of articles that are in my magazine. These are the type of videos that's in my magazine. And I'm just trying to encourage people to just go to that site. It's real simple, www.gettheblackmindright, and, you know, read what we got going on and get educated. It's not a picture magazine, so you ain't got to worry about flicking through no page because it's all about the consciousness and about